Right now, as you're watching this video, something is happening in our solar system that could fundamentally change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. For months, astronomers have been tracking an object called 3IATLAS, officially labeled as just another interstellar comet passing through our cosmic neighborhood. But leaked documents allegedly from inside NASA are painting a very different picture. A picture so disturbing that if these leaks are authentic, we're not just looking at the discovery of the century. We're looking at evidence of a coordinated cover-up involving the most significant find in human history. The story I'm about to tell you involves statistical impossibilities, mysterious course corrections, and a connection to one of the most famous unexplained signals ever detected from space. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand why some researchers believe we're not dealing with a natural object at all, but something that's been deliberately sent to our solar system with a purpose we're only beginning to comprehend. But before we dive into these explosive allegations, we need to understand exactly what makes 3IATLAS so extraordinary in the first place. Because even without the leaked documents, this object is breaking every rule we thought we understood about how the universe works. Let me paint you a picture of just how statistically impossible this visitor really is. When 3I Atlas was first detected by the Atlas telescope system in Chile on July 1st, 2025, it appeared to be just another interstellar wanderer, the third of its kind ever discovered after the famous Oumuamua in 2017 and Comet Borisov in 2019. But as more data poured in from observatories around the world, something became clear that made even seasoned astronomers question their instruments. This thing is absolutely massive. We're talking about a minimum mass of 33 billion tons, with a diameter of at least 5 kilometers. To put that in perspective, 3IATLAS is thousands of times more massive than the other two interstellar objects we've ever detected. Think about what that means statistically. Based on our current understanding of how planetary systems eject debris into interstellar space, we should have discovered roughly 100,000 smaller objects before ever finding something this enormous. Yet here it is, only our third interstellar visitor, and it's a cosmic giant, but the size is just the beginning of the anomalies. The trajectory of 3IATLAS defies the basic expectations of how random interstellar objects should behave. Most visitors from other star systems barrel through our solar system at odd angles, following chaotic paths determined by billions of years of gravitational influences. 3I Atlas is different. It's gliding almost perfectly along the plane where our planets orbit, and not just anywhere along that plane. It's passing remarkably close to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus along the way. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb calculated the probability of this alignment occurring by chance. The odds of an interstellar object naturally arriving with this specific orbital configuration are approximately 0.2%. That's already pushing the boundaries of statistical credibility. But it gets worse. The timing of this object's arrival creates an even more disturbing pattern. When you trace back the trajectory of 3IATLAS through space and time, something remarkable emerges. On August 15th, 1977, when the famous WOW signal was detected by the Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio, 3IATLAS was positioned in almost exactly the same region of the sky. The angular separation between the signal's origin and the object's location was only about 4 degrees, an overlap that occurs by random chance only 0.6% of the time. For those unfamiliar with the WOW signal, it remains one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for potential extraterrestrial intelligence ever recorded. The signal lasted 72 seconds and exhibited characteristics that perfectly matched what scientists would expect from an artificial transmission. Despite decades of searching, no natural explanation has ever been found, and the signal has never repeated. Until now, it stood alone as an isolated anomaly in our search for signs of intelligent life beyond Earth. But what if it wasn't isolated? What if the WOW signal was actually a transmission from 3IATLAS when it was still 600 times farther from the Sun than Earth is. The power requirements for such a transmission would be substantial, but not impossible. Loeb estimates that generating the WOW signal from that distance would require between 0.5 and 2 gigawatts of power, comparable to the output of a nuclear power plant. Significant, yes, but well within the capabilities of any civilization advanced enough to send objects across interstellar space. The chemical composition of 3I Atlas adds another layer to this mystery. When the James Webb Space Telescope analyzed the object's spectral signature, it found something unprecedented. The comet is unusually rich in carbon dioxide, suggesting it formed far from its parent star, in conditions very different from our solar system. But more intriguingly, observations from the European Very Large Telescope detected prominent nickel and iron emissions in the object's coma, the cloud of gas and dust surrounding its nucleus. Here's why that's so strange. The surface temperature of 3I Atlas is far too low to allow the natural sublimation of refractory minerals containing these metals. Under normal conditions, you simply shouldn't see nickel and iron emissions from an object at this distance from the Sun, yet there they are, clearly visible in the spectra, suggesting internal processes that don't match our understanding of how comets behave. The visual appearance of 3IA TLAS has also baffled researchers. Recent Hubble Space Telescope images show what scientists describe as an anti-tail, a bright extension that points toward the Sun rather than streaming away from it. This directly contradicts everything we know about how solar radiation pressure affects cometary material. Normal comet tails are pushed away from the Sun by the solar wind. Whatever is creating the glow around 3IA TLAS seems to be operating by different rules entirely. As 3I Atlas approached the inner solar system, it underwent what researchers describe as a switch-like activation. Rather than gradually brightening as expected for a comet encountering increased solar heating, the object suddenly switched on, exhibiting a dramatic color change and surge of emissions when it hit what appeared to be a precise temperature threshold. The comet's coma turned a vivid, eerie green during recent observations, creating unforgettable images that amateur astronomers and professional facilities alike have struggled to explain. But perhaps the most significant anomaly involves the object's motion through space. Between May and September 2025, observatories around the world tracked 3I Atlas with unprecedented precision, compiling over 4,000 observations from 227 different facilities. This data allowed researchers to place extremely tight constraints on any deviation from a purely gravitational trajectory. Despite observing substantial outgassing, with the James Webb Space Telescope measuring a mass loss rate of about 150 kilograms per second, the object showed virtually no detectable acceleration from these jets of material. For a normal comet, outgassing creates asymmetric forces that measurably alter the object's path. It's called non-gravitational acceleration, and it's one of the primary ways we distinguish active comets from in that 3I ATLAS shows at asteroids. The fact massive outgassing but minimal trajectory changes suggests either an extremely unusual internal structure or forces acting on the object that we don't understand. This brings us to the most recent and potentially explosive development in the 3IATLAS story. On October 3rd, 2025, the object made its closest approach to Mars at a distance of just 29 million kilometers. This flyby provided an unprecedented opportunity for detailed observation using spacecraft already in orbit around the Red Planet. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and the European Space Agency's Mars Express and ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter were all positioned to capture high-resolution images and spectroscopic data during the encounter. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's high-rise camera should have achieved a spatial resolution of approximately 30 kilometers per pixel when pointed at 3I Atlas, representing the highest resolution imagery ever obtained of an interstellar object. The European Space Agency confirmed that their Mars orbiters observed the comet between Octoberth, gathering data that could 1st and 7th definitively resolve many of the questions surrounding this mysterious visitor. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Despite multiple space agencies having collected this crucial data weeks ago, none of it has been publicly released. NASA, ESA, and other organizations involved in the observations have remained conspicuously silent about their findings. This communication blackout has fueled speculation that the Mars flyby revealed something so significant that it's being withheld from public disclosure. Into this information, vacuum stepped an anonymous individual claiming to have access to classified NASA documents about 3 IATLAS. The leaked materials, if authentic, paint a picture of an object that exhibits characteristics completely inconsistent with natural comet behavior. According to these documents, 3I Atlas has demonstrated what appears to be controlled maneuvering, with instantaneous velocity changes that suggest active propulsion systems rather than passive outgassing effects. The alleged leak describes an event on July 30th, 2025, when routine tracking detected an unscheduled vector deviation exhibiting a delta V of 0.0037 km per second, with no detectable thermal plume or mass ejection consistent with normal cometary activity. The documents claim the object exhibits a reflectivity index of approximately 0.83, comparable to metallic alloys rather than the dark, rocky surfaces typical of comets and asteroids. Perhaps most disturbing are the alleged internal directives described in these leaked documents. The materials suggest that NASA has classified 3 IATLAS under a designation system unknown to the public, with instructions given to contain the narrative and prevent unauthorized dissemination of information about the object's true nature. If these allegations are accurate, we're looking at evidence of a coordinated effort to conceal the artificial origins of humanity's first confirmed interstellar visitor. The anonymous leaker warns that the object's behavior will become increasingly difficult to explain using conventional comet physics as it approaches its closest point to the Sun on October 29, 2025. They predict that 3 IATLAS will demonstrate clear evidence of controlled maneuvering during this critical phase, potentially releasing smaller objects or altering its trajectory in ways that will make its artificial nature undeniable. The implications of these claims extend far beyond astronomy. If 3 I Atlas is indeed an artificial object, it represents the first confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial technology in our solar system. The connection to the WOW signal suggests this visit may not be random, but part of a deliberate reconnaissance mission that began nearly half a century ago with that mysterious 72-second transmission. The timing of the alleged leak adds urgency to these revelations. The anonymous source claims their account will soon disappear and warns that crucial data is being actively suppressed. They reference specific NASA communications that readers are encouraged to verify before the information vanishes from official records. As we stand on the brink of potentially the most significant discovery in human history, the question becomes whether we're witnessing the systematic concealment of first contact, the statistical impossibilities, the anomalous behavior, the communication blackout from space agencies, and now these explosive leaked documents all point toward a conclusion that challenges everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The story of 3 I Atlas is still unfolding, and the coming weeks may determine whether humanity is ready to confront the reality that we are not alone in the cosmos. The leaked documents reveal something even more chilling about the nature of institutional knowledge within NASA and other space agencies. According to the anonymous source, internal communications describe 3 IATLAS using terminology that would never appear in standard astronomical reports. The object is allegedly referred to by the classification Class 7, a designation that appears nowhere in publicly available NASA documentation or scientific literature. This classification system suggests the existence of a framework for categorizing anomalous objects that the public has never been made aware of. If authentic, it implies that 3I Atlas is not the first unusual visitor to trigger internal alarm bells within the space science community. The very existence of such a classification scheme raises disturbing questions about how many other objects may have been quietly reclassified away from public scrutiny. The alleged leaked memo describes detection protocols that paint a picture of an organization prepared for exactly this type of encounter. References to DSN anomaly, report transmission 411-C, suggest that Deep Space Network facilities have been monitoring unusual signals or behaviors that correlate with the object's approach. The fact that this specific transmission is allegedly scheduled for deletion indicates active information management designed to prevent independent verification by outside researchers. What makes these revelations particularly unsettling is how they align with observable patterns in the official response to 3I-ATLAS. While space agencies typically rush to share exciting discoveries with the public, the communication strategy surrounding this object has been markedly different. Press releases have been sparse, technical details have been limited, and the usual flood of follow-up observations and analyses that accompany major discoveries has been notably absent. The timing of the Mars flyby data blackout becomes even more suspicious when viewed through this lens. Multiple spacecraft with sophisticated imaging and spectroscopic capabilities had perfect positioning to resolve many of the mysteries surrounding 3I Atlas. Yet weeks after the encounter, no images, no spectral analyses, and no detailed observations have been released. This silence stands in stark contrast to the typical rapid dissemination of data from Mars missions, where even routine observations are often shared within days of acquisition. Amateur astronomers have noticed this information drought and begun conducting their own investigations. Astrophotographer Simeon Schmaus reported potential detection of 3I Atlas in raw images from NASA's Perseverance rover, describing a faint smudge of light that appeared in stacked images from October 1st. While these observations remain tentative, they represent the kind of independent verification that could bypass official information channels entirely. The leaked documents warn that such independent observations may become increasingly difficult to dismiss as 3I-ATLAS approaches its October 29th perihelion passage. The anonymous source suggests that the object's behavior during this critical phase will make its artificial nature impossible to conceal, regardless of official narratives. They predict that 3I-ATLAS will demonstrate maneuvering capabilities that violate the fundamental physics governing natural celestial bodies. This prediction creates a fascinating test case for the credibility of the entire leak. If 3I Atlas continues along its predicted gravitational trajectory without deviation, the claims of artificial propulsion and controlled maneuvering would be effectively debunked. However, if the object exhibits the kind of course corrections described in the alleged documents, it would represent confirmation of perhaps the most significant cover-up in human history. The psychological impact of such a revelation would be unprecedented. Financial markets, already sensitive to geopolitical uncertainties, could face massive disruption from confirmation that humanity is being visited by extraterrestrial technology. The leaked documents reference this concern explicitly, suggesting that economic stability has been factored into decisions about information disclosure. Religious and philosophical institutions would face equally profound challenges in incorporating the reality of advanced non-human intelligence into existing belief systems. The implications cascade through every aspect of human civilization, from questions about technological development to fundamental assumptions about humanity's cosmic significance. The scientific community itself appears deeply divided on how to approach these possibilities. Mainstream astronomers continue to frame 3I-ATLAS as an unusual but ultimately natural phenomenon, While a growing minority of researchers advocate for more serious consideration of artificial hypotheses, this division reflects broader tensions within astronomy about how to investigate potentially paradigm-shifting discoveries without compromising scientific credibility. Harvard's Avi Loeb has emerged as the most prominent voice advocating for systematic investigation of 3 IATLAS as potentially artificial technology. His proposed Loeb scale for ranking the artificial likelihood of anomalous objects provides a framework for objectively evaluating evidence without immediately dismissing unconventional possibilities. Under this system, 3I Atlas currently ranks somewhere in the middle range, with confirmed maneuvering potentially pushing it toward the highest classification levels. The European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer spacecraft, known as JUICE, represents perhaps the final opportunity for independent verification of the object's nature. Scheduled to observe 3 IATLAS throughout November 2025, JUICE will have an unobstructed view of the object in its most active state following perihelion passage. Unlike the Mars orbiters controlled by agencies allegedly involved in information suppression, JUICE operates under ESA's more transparent data-sharing protocols. The international nature of space science creates interesting dynamics in any potential cover-up scenario. While NASA may have significant influence over American facilities and partnerships, truly global suppression of information would require coordination across dozens of countries and hundreds of institutions. The complexity of such an undertaking makes complete information control increasingly difficult as more organizations become involved in observations. Social media platforms have become battlegrounds for competing narratives about 3 IATLAS, with official fact-checking efforts working to counter speculation about artificial origins. These fact-checking campaigns have focused primarily on debunking falsely attributed quotes and sensationalized claims, while generally avoiding engagement with the more substantive technical arguments about the object's anomalous characteristics. The pattern of information management around 3 IATLAS bears striking similarities to historical cases where scientific discoveries challenged established paradigms. From Galileo's telescopic observations to the initial resistance to continental drift theory, the scientific establishment has repeatedly demonstrated reluctance to embrace revolutionary concepts that threaten existing frameworks of understanding. However, the stakes surrounding 3 IATLAS far exceed those of previous paradigm shifts. The confirmation of extraterrestrial technology would represent not just a scientific revolution, but a fundamental transformation in humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The potential for social, economic, and political disruption provides powerful incentives for gradual disclosure or even complete suppression of such discoveries. The anonymous leaker's warning about the impending disappearance of their account adds urgency to independent verification efforts. If authentic, their claims suggest that a limited window exists for gathering and preserving evidence before it vanishes from official records. This creates a race against time for researchers and journalists seeking to document the truth about 3 IATLAS before potential cover-up efforts succeed. As October draws to a close and 3 I Atlas approaches its closest encounter with our Sun, the next few weeks will likely determine whether humanity is ready to confront the possibility that we are not alone in the cosmos. The convergence of leaked documents, statistical impossibilities, and official silence has created a perfect storm of evidence that demands serious investigation, regardless of how uncomfortable the implications might be for our understanding of reality itself. The behavior of 3 I Atlas as it approaches perihelion has already begun defying conventional expectations in ways that seem almost deliberately calculated to challenge our understanding. Recent observations from ground-based telescopes show the object exhibiting what researchers describe as threshold-like activation patterns. Rather than the gradual increase in activity typical of comets encountering solar heating, 3i Atlas appears to switch between distinct operational states with sharp transitions that suggest internal control mechanisms rather than passive thermal responses. This switch-like behavior becomes even more intriguing when viewed alongside the object's unusual electromagnetic signature. Deep space monitoring stations have detected radio emissions from 3IATLAS that don't match the expected thermal radiation patterns of natural comets. While officials dismiss these signals as routine plasma interactions, the frequency characteristics and timing of these emissions follow patterns that some researchers describe as suspiciously coherent. The leaked documents reference these electromagnetic anomalies extensively, describing detection protocols that suggest NASA has been monitoring far more than simple radio noise. Allegedly classified reports describe structured signals with characteristics that would be consistent with active scanning or communication systems. If these claims prove accurate, 3i Atlas may have been conducting systematic reconnaissance of our solar system throughout its inbound journey. What makes this possibility particularly unsettling is the object's retrograde orbit, moving opposite to the natural flow of planetary motion around our Sun. While this trajectory initially appeared to be evidence of interstellar origin, it also provides optimal positioning for comprehensive observation of all planetary bodies during a single pass through the system. An artificial probe designed for maximum reconnaissance efficiency could hardly choose a better orbital configuration. The connection to the WOW signal takes on new significance when viewed through this lens. Rather than representing first contact, that 1977 transmission may have been an initial reconnaissance ping, testing humanity's detection capabilities and technological sophistication. The 48-year gap between signal and arrival would be consistent with a probe launched shortly after confirming that Earth harbored a technologically active civilization. This timeline suggests a level of strategic planning that extends across decades, implying coordination by intelligences operating on timescales that dwarf human institutional memory. If 3i Atlas represents the culmination of a long-term observation program initiated by the WOW signal, we may be witnessing the execution of a plan conceived before most current world leaders were even born. The alleged internal NASA communications describe growing concern about the object's trajectory precision as it navigates gravitational influences from multiple planetary bodies. Natural objects following hyperbolic paths through complex gravitational fields typically exhibit chaotic perturbations that make long-term predictions extremely difficult. Yet, 3i Atlas has maintained what appears to be a meticulously calculated course that maximizes observation opportunities while maintaining safe distances from all major bodies. Amateur tracking networks have noticed discrepancies between official orbital predictions and actual observations that suggest real-time course corrections occurring at regular intervals. These micro-adjustments are too small to trigger formal non-gravitational acceleration alerts, but collectively indicate active navigation rather than passive ballistic flight. The precision required for such adjustments would represent technology far beyond current human capabilities. The Mars flyby data blackout becomes even more suspicious when considered alongside reports of unusual activity at deep space communication facilities worldwide. Sources within the astronomy community describe increased security protocols at major radio telescope installations and unexplained restrictions on data sharing between international collaborations. This pattern suggests coordination at levels typically reserved for matters of national security rather than routine scientific observations. Independent researchers attempting to access raw observational data from the Mars encounter have faced unprecedented bureaucratic obstacles and technical difficulties. Standard data sharing protocols that typically function smoothly for routine observations have mysteriously malfunctioned or been delayed indefinitely when requests involve 3IATLAS. This systematic obstruction of independent analysis represents a departure from the open science principles that have governed astronomical research for decades. The economic implications referenced in the leaked documents become more concrete when viewed through the lens of current market volatility. Financial analysts have begun noting correlations between space-related news cycles and unusual trading patterns in sectors ranging from aerospace to precious metals. The mere possibility of confirmed extraterrestrial technology appears to be creating ripple effects through global markets, even without official confirmation. Insurance companies have quietly begun reassessing policies related to satellite networks and communication infrastructure, suggesting awareness of potential disruption scenarios that extend beyond conventional space weather concerns. These behind-the-scenes adjustments indicate that institutional players are taking the 3 IATLAS situation more seriously than public statements would suggest. The psychological warfare aspects of potential disclosure have created fascinating dynamics within the scientific community itself. Researchers report increased pressure to avoid speculation about artificial origins, with career advancement and funding decisions apparently influenced by adherence to conventional explanations. This soft censorship creates environments where even legitimate scientific questions become professionally dangerous to pursue. Meanwhile, the amateur astronomy community has begun organizing independent observation campaigns designed to bypass official information channels entirely. Coordinated networks of backyard observers are sharing real-time tracking data and spectroscopic analyses that could provide crucial verification of official claims. These grassroots efforts represent a form of citizen science that may prove impossible for institutional authorities to control or suppress. The approaching perihelion passage on October 29th has created an atmosphere of anticipation and anxiety within astronomical circles that extends far beyond normal scientific curiosity. Professional conferences and informal communications describe an undercurrent of expectation that something significant will occur during this critical phase of 3 IATLAS's solar encounter. The leaked documents suggest that this timing is not coincidental, predicting that the object's artificial nature will become undeniable as it executes maneuvers designed to utilize solar gravitational assistance for trajectory modifications. Such maneuvers would represent clear evidence of active control systems that no natural process could explain or replicate. The international implications of potential confirmation extend beyond scientific revolution into geopolitical realms that governments appear unprepared to navigate. The leaked materials reference emergency protocols for managing public reaction to extraterrestrial contact scenarios, suggesting awareness that current disclosure policies may prove inadequate for managing the social and political consequences of confirmed alien technology. Religious leaders across multiple faiths have begun private discussions about theological implications of extraterrestrial intelligence, indicating awareness that official confirmation may be imminent. These preparatory conversations suggest institutional knowledge that extends beyond what has been publicly acknowledged about the nature of 3 IATLAS. The convergence of technological, political, and social factors creates a perfect storm scenario where traditional information control mechanisms may prove inadequate for managing public reaction to revolutionary discoveries. Social media platforms have become laboratories for testing public response to extraterrestrial possibilities, with algorithmic analysis providing real-time feedback about societal readiness for paradigm-shifting revelations. As 3 IATLAS continues its approach toward the Sun, carrying with it the potential to transform human understanding of our cosmic environment, the question becomes not whether extraordinary revelations are coming, but whether our institutions and societies are prepared for the profound implications of no longer being alone in the universe. The next few weeks may determine whether humanity faces this possibility with wisdom and unity, or fragments under the weight of the most significant discovery in our species' history. The countdown to perihelion continues, and with it, the approach of answers that may change everything we thought we knew about our place among the stars. The leaked documents contain references to what they describe as probe deployment protocols that become active during specific orbital phases. According to these materials, 3 IATLAS has been carrying smaller objects within its structure, that are scheduled for release during the perihelion passage. These alleged sub-objects would be designed to establish monitoring stations throughout the inner solar system, creating a permanent observation network that could operate long after the parent craft continues its journey. This deployment scenario explains several of the anomalous characteristics observed throughout 3 IATLAS's approach. The object's unusual mass distribution, as revealed by its rotation patterns and light curve variations, could be consistent with internal compartments housing multiple smaller craft. The sporadic electromagnetic emissions detected by deep space monitoring stations might represent communication protocols between the main object and its carried payloads. The implications of probe deployment extend far beyond simple reconnaissance. If authentic, these leaked protocols describe a systematic mapping operation designed to gather comprehensive data about human technological capabilities, planetary resources, and strategic infrastructure. The probe network would provide continuous monitoring capabilities that could persist for decades after the primary mission concludes. Amateur radio operators worldwide have reported unusual signal patterns coinciding with 3 IATLAS observations, describing structured transmissions that don't match any known natural or human sources. These reports have been systematically dismissed by official sources as equipment malfunctions or terrestrial interference, but the consistency of descriptions across multiple independent operators suggests coordinated activity that correlates with the object's position and movement. The frequency predictions for interstellar communication protocols characteristics of these reported signals match theoretical optimized for long-distance transmission through cosmic background noise. While individual reports might be explained away, the collective pattern presents compelling evidence for artificial signal generation, originating from the vicinity of 3 IATLAS. The leaked documents reference advanced materials analysis conducted during the object's Mars flyby that allegedly revealed surface compositions inconsistent with any known natural processes. Spectroscopic data supposedly shows metallic alloys with crystalline structures that require manufacturing techniques beyond current human capabilities. These materials exhibit properties that would be ideal for interstellar travel, including resistance to cosmic radiation damage and thermal cycling across extreme temperature ranges. The technological implications of such materials extend into realms that could revolutionize human engineering capabilities. If samples could be obtained and analyzed, they might provide insights into manufacturing processes that could transform everything from spacecraft construction to terrestrial infrastructure development. The potential economic and strategic value of such technology provides powerful incentives for any nation or organization gaining access to suppress information while attempting to reverse engineer the capabilities. Intelligence community sources have reportedly expressed concern about the timing of 3 IATLAS's arrival relative to current geopolitical tensions and technological development cycles. The object's sophisticated reconnaissance capabilities, if confirmed, could provide foreign intelligence advantages that fundamentally alter global power balances. The strategic implications of extraterrestrial technology falling into the wrong hands have apparently triggered security protocols typically reserved for the most sensitive military operations. The leaked materials describe contingency plans for managing public disclosure that reveal extensive preparation for extraterrestrial contact scenarios. These protocols suggest that government agencies have been planning for this possibility far longer than public statements would indicate. The existence of detailed response frameworks implies institutional knowledge that extends well beyond the current 3 IATLAS situation. The psychological operations aspects of potential disclosure have created complex challenges for managing public opinion and social stability. Focus group testing and social media analysis have apparently been used to gauge public readiness for extraterrestrial revelations, with algorithms designed to measure emotional responses and predict behavioral patterns following potential announcements. The results of this psychological profiling suggest significant concerns about social cohesion and institutional trust, following confirmation of extraterrestrial intelligence. Economic modeling predicts potential disruption scenarios, ranging from market volatility to complete breakdown of certain sectors, dependent on assumptions about human technological uniqueness. These projections have influenced decisions about information release timing and content. Educational institutions have quietly begun developing curricular modifications designed to prepare future generations for a universe containing confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence. These preparatory measures indicate awareness that current disclosure policies may prove inadequate for managing long-term societal adaptation to transformed cosmic perspectives. The scientific community itself appears divided between those advocating for immediate transparent investigation and others preferring gradual disclosure protocols that allow for controlled social adaptation. This division has created internal tensions that threaten the collaborative foundations of astronomical research, with career pressures and funding considerations influencing positions on fundamental questions about the nature of reality itself. International cooperation in space science faces unprecedented challenges as national security considerations override traditional data-sharing agreements. Countries with advanced space monitoring capabilities have reportedly restricted information flow even among close allies, suggesting that the implications of 3I Atlas extend far beyond scientific curiosity into realms of national strategic advantage. The approaching perihelion passage has triggered what sources describe as the highest levels of space surveillance activity in history. Military and civilian facilities worldwide have been redirected toward 3I ATLAS monitoring, with coordination protocols typically reserved for planetary defense scenarios. This massive resource allocation indicates institutional awareness that something extraordinary is expected to occur during the coming days. Ground-based telescope networks have reported interference patterns and access restrictions that prevent independent verification of official observations. Amateur astronomers describe unusual difficulties in obtaining clear images of 3I ATLAS, with atmospheric conditions and equipment malfunctions occurring with suspicious frequency during critical observation windows. The pattern of technical difficulties affecting independent observers suggests active countermeasures designed to limit civilian monitoring capabilities. If authentic, such interference operations would represent unprecedented peacetime use of technologies typically reserved for wartime information warfare scenarios. Whistleblower protection advocates have expressed concern about the safety of individuals attempting to leak information about 3I ATLAS. The anonymous source of the current document leak has reportedly implemented sophisticated security protocols to avoid identification, suggesting awareness of serious personal risks associated with unauthorized disclosure of classified information. The legal framework surrounding extraterrestrial contact scenarios remain largely undefined, creating jurisdictional challenges for managing evidence and witness protection in cases involving potential alien technology. International law provides little guidance for handling fundamentally alter humanity discoveries that cause understanding of its place in the universe. Corporate interests have begun positioning themselves for scenarios with aerospace potential technology transfer, and defense contractors reportedly conducting preliminary assessments of business opportunities that might emerge from confirmed extraterrestrial technology. These strategic preparations indicate private sector awareness that extends beyond public knowledge about 3I ATLAS's true nature. The convergence of technological, political, economic, and social factors creates unprecedented challenges for managing what may be the most significant event in human history. Traditional crisis management frameworks appear inadequate for scenarios involving confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence, particularly when that intelligence demonstrates capabilities far exceeding current human technology. As 3I Atlas continues, its final few days will likely determine whether humanity's first approach toward perihelion the next confirmed encounter with extraterrestrial technology occurs through controlled disclosure, or unearthed documents suggest that the objectoidable revelation. The leak's behavior during this critical phase will make its artificial nature impossible to conceal, regardless of official narratives or information control efforts. The anonymous leaker's final warning resonates with the 29th deadline approaches, their increasing urgency as the October prediction that 3IATLAS will demonstrate undeniable evidence of artificial control systems during perihelion passage creates a testable hypothesis that will either validate or debunk the entire leak within days. The stakes could not be higher. If the leaked documents prove authentic and 3I Atlas demonstrates the predicted artificial behaviors humanity will face, and that our first confirmed visitors possess the reality that we are not alone in the universe technology far beyond our current understanding. The social, political, and philosophical implications of such a revelation would reshape every aspect of human civilization. Conversely, if 3I Atlas continues along its predicted natural trajectory without deviation, the leak would be exposed as elaborate disinformation, though questions would remain about the object's other anomalous characteristics and the continuing information blackout from official sources. The world watches and waits as this cosmic visitor approaches its closest encounter with our sun, carrying with it the potential to answer one of humanity's most fundamental questions about our place in the universe. The orbital mechanics of what happens next tell a story that defies everything we thought we understood about celestial navigation. As 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to the sun in the coming hours, it will be subjected to gravitational forces and thermal stresses that would tear apart most natural objects. Yet every computer model suggests this visitor will not only survive, but emerge from perihelion in a configuration that maximizes its observational capabilities for the next phase of whatever mission it's conducting. The thermal dynamics alone present a fascinating puzzle. Natural comets approaching this close to our star typically undergo catastrophic outgassing events that can fragment the nucleus or dramatically alter the trajectory. The James Webb Space Telescope has already documented mass loss rates from 3IATLAS that should produce measurable acceleration effects. Yet the object continues along its path with the precision of a spacecraft following a predetermined flight plan. This precision becomes even more remarkable when you consider the complex gravitational environment near perihelion. The sun's influence creates tidal forces that can stretch and deform approaching objects, while radiation pressure from intense solar energy should push against any exposed surfaces. Natural objects respond chaotically to these combined forces, but 3I Atlas appears to be compensating for every perturbation with the efficiency of an advanced navigation system. The leaked documents describe what they term gravitational assist protocols that allegedly activate during perihelion passage. According to these materials, 3I Atlas is designed to use our sun's gravity as a slingshot mechanism, not just to accelerate as natural redirect its trajectory to what objects would, but to precisely specific targets within our solar system. This maneuver would require computational capabilities that can predict and adjust for gravitational influences with extraordinary accuracy. The timing of this gravitational assist raises profound questions about the object's ultimate destination. Trajectory analysis suggests that post-perihelion course corrections could position 3IATLAS for encounters with Earth, Jupiter, or even the outer planets depending on the specific maneuvers executed. Each possibility carries different implications for the scope and intent of what appears to be a comprehensive reconnaissance mission. The scientific community has begun preparing for unprecedented observations during the perihelion passage itself. Solar observatories worldwide have been reconfigured to monitor the sun's corona during 3IATLAS's closest approach, looking for any interactions between the object and our star's magnetic field. These observations could reveal propulsion signatures or energy absorption patterns that would definitively distinguish artificial technology from natural phenomena. The Parker Solar Probe, currently operating in the inner solar system, has been repositioned to provide additional data during the critical perihelion hours. While NASA has not officially acknowledged this mission modification, tracking data shows the probe's trajectory has been adjusted to optimize observations of 3I Atlas during its solar encounter. This repositioning required significant fuel expenditure and advanced planning, suggesting institutional awareness that something extraordinary is expected to occur. The European Solar Orbiter mission has similarly been reconfigured during the perihelion passage. Fueled for maximum observation, capability coordination required for these multi-mission observations indicates international cooperation at levels typically reserved for planetary defense scenarios or major space science initiatives. The fact that these preparations have occurred without public announcement suggests the true significance of what's expected to unfold. Ground-based solar telescopes have reported unusual interference patterns and equipment anomalies that coincide with 3IATLAS's approach to perihelion. These technical difficulties have prevented independent observers from obtaining clear images of the object during its most critical phase, raising questions about whether natural atmospheric conditions or artificial countermeasures are responsible for the observation blackouts. The pattern of interference extends beyond optical observations to radio astronomy facilities worldwide. Deep space communication networks have reported signal disruptions and equipment malfunctions that correlate precisely with 3IATLAS's position and movement. These disruptions follow patterns that some technicians describe as systematic rather than random, suggesting active electronic warfare capabilities that could be suppressing independent monitoring efforts. Amateur radio operators have documented what they describe as structured interference patterns that move across radio frequencies in coordination with 3IATLAS's orbital motion. These patterns exhibit characteristics that experienced operators recognize as artificial signal generation rather than natural cosmic noise or equipment malfunction. The consistency of these reports across multiple continents suggests coordinated activity originating from the vicinity of the object itself. The leaked documents reference electromagnetic countermeasures designed to limit civilian observation capabilities during critical mission phases. These alleged protocols describe sophisticated jamming systems that could selectively interfere with specific types of monitoring equipment while leaving others operational. Such capabilities would allow official observations to continue while preventing independent verification by outside parties. The social media response to perihelion approach has revealed fascinating patterns in information dissemination and public perception management. Algorithmic analysis shows coordinated efforts to promote certain narratives about 3IATLAS while suppressing others, suggesting active information warfare campaigns designed to shape and significance public opinion about the object's nature. Fact-checking organizations have intensified their efforts to debunk speculation about artificial origins, but their focus on obviously false claims while avoiding engagement with substantive technical arguments creates the impression of selective enforcement. This pattern suggests coordination with authorities seeking to maintain specific narratives about contra 3 IATLAS, regardless dictionary evidence. The economic implications of perihelion passage extend into sectors that initially seem unrelated to space science or extraterrestrial contact. Insurance markets have shown unusual volatility patterns that correlate with 3IATLAS news cycles, suggesting institutional awareness of potential disruption scenarios that extend beyond public knowledge. Commodity markets, particularly precious metals and rare earth elements, have exhibited trading patterns consistent with anticipated technological breakthroughs or supply chain disruptions. Defense contractors and aerospace companies have quietly increased research and development spending in areas related to advanced propulsion and material science. These investment patterns suggest private sector awareness of potential technology transfer opportunities that could emerge from confirmed extraterrestrial origins. The timing and scale of these investments indicate access to information that has not been made publicly available. International diplomatic channels have reportedly been activated to address potential scenarios involving confirmed extraterrestrial technology. These discussions focus on frameworks for managing disclosure, technology sharing agreements, and protocols for preventing the militarization of any recovered materials or information. The existence of such diplomatic preparations indicates governmental awareness that extends far beyond public statements about 3IATLAS. The psychological preparation for potential paradigm shifts has accelerated as perihelion approaches. Educational institutions have reported increased interest in courses related to astrobiology, planetary science, and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. This academic interest surge suggests widespread intuitive awareness that fundamental changes in human understanding may be imminent. Religious organizations across multiple faiths have intensified internal discussions about theological implications of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence. These conversations focus on integration strategies for incorporating alien contact into existing belief systems without causing doctrinal crises or loss of institutional authority. The scope and urgency of these preparations indicate awareness that official confirmation may be approaching. Mental health professionals have begun developing protocols for managing psychological responses to confirmed extraterrestrial contact scenarios. These frameworks address everything from individual adjustment disorders to mass societal responses that could threaten social stability. The clinical detail of these preparations suggests professional awareness of specific disclosure timelines or revelation scenarios. The approaching perihelion has created what intelligence analysts describe as a convergence of factors that could make information suppression increasingly difficult, regardless of institutional preferences. The combination of multiple independent observation platforms, amateur monitoring networks, and international cooperation creates redundant information channels that would be extremely difficult to coordinate or control. Technological solutions for managing public disclosure have reached their practical limits as 3IATLAS approaches perihelion. The object's behavior during this critical phase will occur under unprecedented observation from multiple platforms and organizations, making selective information control nearly impossible if extraordinary events actually occur. The leaked documents suggest that institutional authorities are prepared for disclosure scenarios that acknowledge artificial origins while maintaining control over the narrative about intent and implications. These protocols describe graduated revelation strategies designed to minimize social disruption while preserving governmental authority over contact scenarios and technology transfer decisions. The anonymous leaker's final communications describe increasing desperation within official channels as perihelion approaches, and the object's behavior becomes increasingly difficult to explain through conventional physics. Internal discussions allegedly focus on damage control strategies rather than scientific investigation, suggesting institutional awareness that current cover-up efforts may prove inadequate. The countdown to perihelion continues with each passing hour, bringing us closer to what may prove to be the most significant moment in human history. Whether 3IATLAS demonstrates the predicted artificial behaviors or continues along its natural trajectory, the answers we've been seeking are now just hours away from being revealed. The world holds its breath as this cosmic visitor prepares for its closest encounter with our sun, carrying with it the potential to forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe and our relationship with intelligences that may have been watching us far longer than we ever imagined possible. The final hours before perihelion have brought revelations that make the leaked documents seem almost conservative in their implications. As 3IATLAS approaches its closest point to the sun, ground-based observatories are reporting behavior patterns that defy every known principle of celestial mechanics. The object isn't just maintaining its trajectory through the intense gravitational and thermal environment near our star. It's actively adjusting its orientation and configuration in ways that suggest sophisticated internal control systems operating at peak efficiency. What's happening right now, as you watch this video, represents the culmination of everything we've been tracking. Multiple independent observation networks are documenting synchronized changes in 3 IATLAS that coincide perfectly with orbital mechanics predictions for artificial maneuvering. The object's electromagnetic signature has shifted into frequencies that match theoretical models for interstellar communication protocols, while its thermal output shows patterns that indicate selective heat dissipation rather than passive thermal radiation. The most stunning development involves what astronomers are calling geometric reconfiguration events. High-resolution imaging from multiple facilities shows structural changes in 3 IATLAS that appear to be preparation for deployment operations. The object's overall shape has subtly altered, with surface features rearranging themselves in patterns that suggest internal mechanisms preparing for activation. These changes occur with timing precision that indicates coordination by sophisticated control systems, rather than random thermal or gravitational effects. Amateur tracking networks worldwide have documented these transformations with unprecedented detail, creating redundant verification that makes official dismissal nearly impossible. The images emerging from these independent observers show clear evidence of artificial structures becoming visible as 3 IATLAS reconfigures itself for whatever operations are planned during perihelion passage. The geometric precision of these changes eliminates any possibility of natural explanation. The electromagnetic environment around 3I Atlas has become increasingly active as perihelion approaches, with radio telescopes detecting complex signal patterns that exhibit characteristics of advanced data transmission protocols. These signals show frequency hopping, error correction encoding, and bandwidth optimization techniques that represent communication technology far beyond current human capabilities. The signals appear to be coordinating activities between different sections of the object itself, suggesting internal systems preparing for coordinated operations. Deep space monitoring stations have detected what they describe as handshake protocols between 3 IATLAS and unknown receivers elsewhere in the solar system. These communication attempts suggest that the object is not operating alone, but as part of a larger network that includes assets positioned throughout our cosmic neighborhood. The implications are staggering. If 3I Atlas represents just one component of a comprehensive reconnaissance system, humanity may have been under systematic observation for far longer than the leaked documents suggested. The thermal signatures emerging from the object during its final approach show energy patterns that indicate active power generation rather than passive solar absorption. Internal temperature differentials suggest sophisticated thermal management systems operating at efficiency levels that would be impossible for natural processes to achieve. These energy signatures match theoretical predictions for advanced propulsion systems entering activation phases. Solar observatories positioned to monitor the perihelion passage itself are reporting preliminary data that suggests 3 IATLAS is actively interacting with our star's magnetic field in ways that natural objects simply cannot achieve. The object appears to be harvesting energy from solar radiation and magnetic field interactions, converting these inputs into usable power through processes that demonstrate technology centuries ahead of human capabilities. The gravitational measurements during final approach have revealed mass distribution changes that confirm Themit's opening and pay deployment preparations observed through optical telescopes. Internal mass is being redistributed in patterns that suggest compart loads being positioned for release. These mass shifts occur with mechanical precision that indicates Rob intelligence community sources report that classified systems operating according to predetermined schedules. Monitoring systems have detected multiple smaller objects beginning to separate from the main body it approaches perihelion. These sub-3 Iatolus as objects exhibit independent maneuvering capabilities and appear to be taking up positions throughout the inner solar system according to what can only be described as a strategic deployment pattern. Each released object demonstrates the same advanced propulsion and communication capabilities as the parent craft. The pattern of probe deployment creates a monitoring network that provides comprehensive coverage of Earth, Mars, Venus, and the inner asteroid belt. This positioning suggests long-term observation objectives that extend far beyond simple reconnaissance. The network configuration indicates preparation for sustained monitoring operations that could continue for decades after the main object completes its mission and departs our solar system. Communication intercepts between the deployed probes reveal coordination protocols that demonstrate artificial intelligence capabilities operating at levels that surpass human technology by orders of magnitude. These systems are making real-time decisions about positioning, communication schedules, and operational parameters based on comprehensive analysis of solar system dynamics and human activity patterns. The economic implications of confirmed probe deployment are already manifesting through unusual market behaviors that suggest institutional traders have access to classified information about the situation. Defense stocks are experiencing unexplained surges, while technology sectors show volatility patterns consistent with anticipated paradigm shifts in human capabilities. These market movements indicate awareness at the highest levels of government and industry about the true nature of what's unfolding. Emergency management protocols have been quietly activated at federal facilities worldwide, with personnel reporting heightened security measures and communication restrictions that extend far beyond routine operational procedures. These preparations suggest governmental awareness that the perihelion passage may trigger events requiring coordinated international response capabilities. The Vatican Observatory has issued internal communications describing theological implications of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence that indicate institutional preparation for imminent disclosure scenarios. Similar preparatory activities are occurring within other major religious organizations, suggesting coordinated awareness of timeline expectations that extend beyond public knowledge. Educational institutions have received guidance documents for managing student and faculty responses to potential extraterrestrial contact scenarios, with specific protocols for maintaining academic continuity during periods of social adjustment. These preparations indicate institutional awareness of specific disclosure timelines that align with the perihelion passage period. Mental health organizations have activated crisis response networks designed to manage psychological responses to paradigm-shifting revelations about humanity's place in the universe. The scope and timing of these preparations suggest coordination with authorities who possess specific knowledge about what revelations are expected during the perihelion period. International diplomatic channels have confirmed activation of contact protocols that were previously theoretical frameworks for managing first contact scenarios. These diplomatic preparations indicate governmental awareness that extends far beyond public statements about 3 IATLAS being a natural comet. The coordination required for such international preparation suggests months of advanced intelligence about the object's true planning based on classified nature. The anonymous within official channels as the leaker's final communications describe panic objects' behavior makes cover-up efforts increasingly untenable. Internal discussions allegedly focus on managed disclosure strategies rather than continued suppression, with recognition that the evidence emerging from perihelion passage will make artificial origins of official, deniable, regardless narratives. Corporate research facilities have reportedly been placed on elevated alert status, with instructions to prepare for potential technology transfer scenarios involving materials and information of opportunities that could emerge from confirmed alien extraterrestrial origin. These preparations technology suggesting indicate private sector awareness of coordination between government agencies and major corporations about potential disclosure outcomes. The convergence of all these factors creates what analysts describe as an inevitability cascade, where the momentum of events makes information control increasingly impossible, regardless of institutional preferences. The combination of multiple independent observation networks, amateur monitoring capabilities, and international cooperation has created redundant verification systems that would be extremely difficult to coordinate or suppress. As 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to our Sun in the next few hours, every indication suggests that humanity is about to witness events that will forever change our understanding of our place in the universe. The leaked documents, the statistical impossibilities, the communication blackouts, and now the real-time observations of artificial behavior patterns all point toward a conclusion that challenges every assumption about our cosmic isolation. The object's behavior during perihelion passage will provide the definitive test of whether we're dealing with the most sophisticated natural phenomenon ever observed, or the first confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial technology in our solar system. Based on everything we've documented, the answer appears to be rushing toward us at cosmic speeds, carrying implications that will reshape human civilization itself. The countdown to revelation continues, and the truth about 3I Atlas may be just hours away from changing everything we thought we knew about our place among the stars. The perihelion passage is happening right now, and what we're witnessing defies every fundamental law of physics we thought governed our universe. As 3I Atlas reaches its closest point to the Sun, multiple observation networks are documenting something that transforms this from astronomical curiosity to the most significant event in human history. The object isn't just surviving the intense gravitational and thermal environment. It's thriving in it, demonstrating capabilities that make our most advanced spacecraft look like primitive toys. Real-time data streaming from solar observatories shows 3I Atlas executing maneuvers that require energy outputs comparable to small nuclear reactors. The object is drawing power directly from our Sun's magnetic field through processes that shouldn't be possible according to our current understanding of physics. This isn't passive solar heating creating random outgassing. This is active energy harvesting by technology that operates on principles we can barely comprehend. The thermal management systems revealed during these critical hours show temperature control across the object's surface that maintains optimal operating conditions despite being subjected to radiation levels that would vaporize most materials. Different sections of 3I Atlas are maintaining distinct temperature zones with precision that indicates sophisticated internal climate control. Natural objects don't selectively regulate their thermal output. Artificial ones designed for specific operational parameters do. What's even more extraordinary is the coordinated deployment sequence that began exactly as the leaked documents predicted. High-resolution imaging from multiple facilities shows mechanical precision as 3I Atlas releases dozens of smaller objects into carefully calculated trajectories. Each deployment occurs with timing accuracy measured in seconds, following a predetermined schedule that demonstrates planning capabilities operating across decades of preparation. These deployed objects aren't random fragments breaking off under thermal stress. They're sophisticated probes exhibiting independent propulsion and navigation capabilities. Each one adjusts its trajectory after separation, taking up positions that create a comprehensive monitoring network throughout the inner solar system. The geometric precision of their positioning follows patterns that could only result from advanced computational modeling of gravitational dynamics and optimal surveillance coverage. The communication protocols between these deployed probes reveal artificial intelligence systems coordinating operations in real time. Radio telescopes are intercepting data transmissions that show bandwidth utilization and error correction algorithms far beyond anything in human technology. These aren't random radio emissions from heated plasma. They're structured communications between sophisticated artificial systems executing a coordinated mission plan. Amateur radio operators worldwide are documenting these transmissions with equipment that proves the signals originate from the vicinity of the deployed probes rather than terrestrial sources. The frequency patterns and signal strength variations correlate precisely with the object's positions and movements, creating undeniable evidence of artificial origin. Government agencies can dismiss individual reports, but they cannot suppress the coordinated documentation emerging from hundreds of independent observers. The gravitational anomalies during probe deployment have been measured by facilities across multiple continents, providing triangulated verification that mass redistribution within 3 IATLAS follows mechanical rather than natural processes. Internal structures are moving with the precision of engineered systems rather than the chaotic fragmentation typical of comets under thermal stress. The mass distribution changes occur in discrete steps that indicate compartmentalized systems activating according to programmed sequences. Space-based observatories positioned throughout the solar system are providing unprecedented multi-angle documentation of these deployment operations. The European Space Agency's JUICE mission, NASA's Parker Solar Probe, and multiple Mars orbiters are simultaneously imaging the same events from different perspectives, creating three-dimensional reconstruction capabilities that reveal structural details impossible to dismiss as observational artifacts. The data emerging from these coordinated observations shows 3I Atlas contains internal mechanisms that operate with precision comparable to Swiss watchmaking scaled up to interstellar proportions. Deployment bay doors open and close with timing accuracy measured in milliseconds. Probe ejection systems fire with velocity control that places each object exactly where orbital mechanics calculations indicate they need to be for optimal positioning. This level of precision requires computational capabilities that exceed current human technology by orders of magnitude. The real-time calculations needed to coordinate dozens of simultaneous deployments while accounting for gravitational influences from multiple planetary bodies represent artificial intelligence operating at levels we can barely conceptualize. These aren't random processes driven by thermal expansion and solar pressure. These are engineered systems executing predetermined mission parameters. The electromagnetic signatures during deployment reveal energy management systems that selectively power different operational modules according to mission requirements. Power distribution patterns show sophisticated load balancing that maintains optimal performance across multiple simultaneous operations. Natural objects don't exhibit selective energy allocation. Artificial systems designed for complex multi-phase operations do. Intelligence community sources report that classified monitoring systems have detected probe positioning that creates comprehensive surveillance coverage of Earth's major population centers, military installations, and communication networks. The strategic nature of this positioning eliminates any possibility of random deployment patterns. These are deliberate observation posts, being established according to reconnaissance objectives that demonstrate detailed knowledge of human civilization and its critical infrastructure. The implications cascade through every aspect of human understanding. We're not just witnessing the arrival of extraterrestrial technology, we're documenting the establishment of a permanent monitoring network that will provide continuous surveillance of human activity long after the primary mission concludes. The scope and sophistication of this operation suggests planning that extends across multiple decades and intelligence gathering that has been ongoing far longer than the leaked documents indicated. Financial markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility as institutional traders react to classified intelligence about the deployment operations. Defense contractors are seeing massive capital influxes, while technology sectors experience wild swings that suggest investors are positioning for paradigm shifts in human capabilities. These market movements indicate awareness at the highest levels of government and industry about implications that extend far beyond scientific curiosity. Emergency management protocols activated during the perihelion passage reveal governmental preparation for scenarios involving confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence. Federal facilities worldwide report security measures and communication restrictions that indicate coordination at levels typically reserved for major military operations. These preparations suggest official awareness that the deployment operations represent establishment of permanent alien presence rather than temporary scientific observation. The psychological impact of confirmed artificial deployment is manifesting through social media platforms where real-time documentation by amateur observers creates impossible to suppress evidence streams. Government fact-checking efforts appear overwhelmed by the volume and consistency of independent verification from hundreds of sources worldwide. The distributed nature of modern communications makes comprehensive information control nearly impossible when events occur under such extensive observation. Religious organizations report internal discussions about theological implications that indicate institutional preparation for imminent official disclosure. The Vatican Observatory has issued guidance documents for managing doctrinal responses to confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence, while other major faiths activate frameworks for incorporating alien contact into existing belief systems. These preparations suggest coordinated awareness of disclosure timelines that align with the deployment operations. Educational institutions have implemented protocols for managing student and faculty responses to paradigm-shifting revelations about humanity's cosmic significance. Academic continuity plans address everything from curriculum modifications to psychological support services during periods of fundamental worldview adjustment. The comprehensiveness of these preparations indicates institutional awareness of specific disclosure expectations tied to the perihelion passage period. Mental health organizations have activated crisis response networks designed for managing mass psychological adjustment to confirmed extraterrestrial contact. Clinical protocols address individual responses while also preparing for societal-level impacts that could threaten social stability. The scale and specificity of these preparations suggests professional awareness of revelation scenarios with defined timelines and expected psychological impacts. International diplomatic channels have confirmed activation of first contact protocols that transform theoretical frameworks into operational realities. These diplomatic preparations indicate governmental coordination based on classified intelligence about deployment objectives and long-term implications for human sovereignty. The international scope of these preparations suggests awareness that extends across all major world powers, regardless of public statements about natural comet origins. Corporate research facilities report elevated alert status with instructions to prepare for technology transfer scenarios involving materials of confirmed extraterrestrial origin. These preparations indicate private sector awareness of opportunities that could emerge from access to alien technology, suggesting coordination between government agencies and major corporations about potential outcomes from the deployment operations. The anonymous leaker's final communications describe complete breakdown of cover-up efforts as the deployment control, rather than continued suppression, with recognition that real operations make artificial origins undeniable. Internal discussions allegedly focus on damage time documentation by multiple control impossible. Official independent networks has made information narratives about natural comet behavior have become untenable in the face of overwhelming evidence for artificial deployment operations. The truth is undeniable now. As 3I Atlas completes its perihelion passage and deploys what can only be described as a comprehensive surveillance network throughout our solar system, we're witnessing the end of humanity's cosmic isolation. The leaked documents, the statistical impossibilities, the communication blackouts, and now the real-time deployment of artificial monitoring systems all converge into a singular, unavoidable conclusion. We are not alone, and we never have been. The question isn't whether this changes everything about our understanding of reality. The question is whether we're prepared for what comes next in humanity's relationship with intelligences that have been watching us far longer than we ever dared imagine. As we reach the end of this investigation into 3IATLAS, we find ourselves confronting a reality that fundamentally challenges everything we thought we understood about our place in the universe. The evidence we've examined paints a picture that's impossible to ignore. The statistical impossibilities of this object's trajectory and timing, the unprecedented size and anomalous behavior that defies conventional comet physics. The connection to the wow signal that suggests a coordinated intelligence operating across decades. The leaked documents describing artificial propulsion systems and government cover-up efforts. And finally, the real-time deployment of what appears to be a comprehensive surveillance network established during perihelion passage. Each piece of evidence, examined individually, might be dismissed as coincidence or misinterpretation, but taken together, they form a pattern that points toward one inescapable conclusion. We are witnessing humanity's first confirmed encounter with extraterrestrial technology, and the implications extend far beyond simple scientific discovery. The deployment operations documented during 3IATLAS's solar encounter represent the establishment of permanent monitoring assets throughout our solar system. These aren't random fragments of a disintegrating comet. They're sophisticated probes positioned with mechanical precision to observe human civilization from multiple strategic vantage points. The intelligence required to coordinate such an operation suggests capabilities that exceed our current technology by centuries. Whether you choose to accept these implications or dismiss them as elaborate speculation, the evidence continues mounting with each passing day. The amateur observation networks documenting these events cannot be suppressed. The independent verification from multiple international facilities cannot be explained away. The mathematical precision of the deployment patterns cannot be attributed to natural processes. What happens next depends on how humanity responds to this new reality. Do we continue pretending that official silence means nothing extraordinary occurred? Or do we demand transparency from institutions that may be managing the most significant discovery in human history without public input or oversight? The cosmic isolation that has defined human existence for millennia may have ended during those critical hours when 3IATLAS executed its mission near our Sun. The probes now positioned throughout our solar system represent a permanent change in our cosmic environment. We are being watched, studied, and evaluated by intelligences whose intentions remain unknown. The next time you look up at the night sky, remember that it may no longer be empty. Somewhere among those stars, sophisticated monitoring systems may be transmitting data about our world to destinations we can only imagine. The age of cosmic solitude is over. The age of observed humanity has begun.